Welcome back. My name is Dr. Carl Baird, and today I'll be guiding you through a 20-minute strength workout to help solve lower back arthritis. And so that's a key distinction that I want to make before we move forward, is the purpose of this workout isn't just to provide a little bit of pain relief, which it will help ease pain associated with arthritis, but more important, treat the underlying cause of arthritis. So just as a reminder, when we're talking about osteoarthritis, we're talking about a condition that's caused by wear and tear. Too much impact on our lower back over too long a period of time. And the only way to treat that or solve that is to learn how to move in a way that limits impact that goes through your joints. And so that's what I've done with this workout, is I picked safe and effective exercises to allow you to improve your movement and build strength to protect your lower back, to prevent this arthritis from getting worse. So with that being said, all we need in today's workout is a box or a chair, a step, and just something heavy that we can lift. So if you have a dumbbell, that would be useful, or a kettlebell, but really anything that you can hold. Just a gallon of water will work too. If you have those things, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and get started with our warm-up. These are just going to be gentle movements to help loosen up our lower back, ease a little bit of that stiffness before we move into our strength workouts. So we're going to start on our hands and knees, hands right under the shoulders, knees right under the hips, and we're going to do a cat-cow. So first movement is the cat, where we're going to arch our upper back, let our head hang, tuck our pelvis under us, and from there we're going to move into a cow, which is just the opposite. So now I'm going to let my belly hang, lift my head up, and we're just going to work our way through this movement. This is going to help ease stiffness. So this should feel pretty good. And again, you just stop at the minute you feel that stiffness. You don't need to push into it. And what you should start to notice is the more repetitions you get, the further you'll be able to go. So again, don't need to be too fast. Whatever feels good. We're just trying to get movement in that lower back. Do one more. So we're arching. Really push through those hands. And drop the belly, lift the head up. Good. All right. So now we're going to move into a side lying twist. So we'll come onto our side. And this is just going to get a little bit of rotation in that spine. So just on my shoulder here, hips are stacked, knees are stacked. And then from there, my hands are out in front of me. And I'm just reaching behind me. So I want my hip and knees to stay stacked. I don't want to open up too far this way. It should feel like a nice stretch. You're getting a little rotation on that spine. And you're also stretching those muscles in your back a little bit. If you have a pillow or something you can put your head on here, a lot of times that is more comfortable, but if not, it's still okay. Good job. So again, nice and slow, but the goal is you do want to move in and out of this position. You don't just want to hold the stretch at the end. It's not a static stretch. We're getting that gentle rotation in the spine to ease some of that stiffness, lubricate those joints in the lower back, getting us ready for today's workout. All right, so let's go ahead and switch to the other side. You can just roll over, but just so I'm still facing you guys, I'll switch. And from there, it's the same thing. Just going the other way. Again, should feel pretty good. You can just stop if you feel a twinge or any sort of pain. You don't need to move into it. So what I mean by that is if I get right here and I start to feel something in my lower back, I can just go back to the start, and that'll be my range of motion. And what you'll start to notice is the more repetitions you do, you can kind of go a little bit further as your body warms up, as those joints get a little bit more movement in them. You'll slowly be able to improve that range of motion. Good. All right. Now let's roll onto our back. And we're going to do windshield wipers. So on our back, Our feet will be on the floor. I'm going to move my feet wide. So not close together, but as wide as I can. And we're going to do windshield wipers, which just means keeping my feet on the floor. I'm going to drop my knees to the right. And it's okay that your feet kind of roll off, but you want them to stay in the same position. And move back the other way. So again, this is just another gentle range of motion exercise, just designed to help with some of that stiffness and get your body ready for the good workout. So remember, the goal of today's workout is to improve movement and build strength to limit impact that goes through your lower back. And that's the only way that we can stop this arthritis from getting worse. Not only does it help ease pain, but it makes sure that we can keep active and maintain our lifestyle as we get older, which is the goal of all this. All right, one more time the other way. And now that we're done, we'll get ready to move into our strength workout. So we're going to start our strength workout in the same position on our back with our knees bent, and we're going to start with the glute bridge. So to perform this, my feet are flat on the ground, my hands are at 45, and all I'm going to do is press through my feet to lift the hips up. And again, we want to feel it in our glutes and our hamstrings. And go back down. Press through the feet, feel the contraction in the glute and in the hamstrings, and we're just going to go for a minute. So a few things that you might be feeling is if you're feeling it too much in your hamstrings and not enough in your glutes, it might be that your feet are too far out. So when your feet get too far out, it really works those hamstrings. If you're feeling it more in the quads or the front of the leg, they might be too close to your hips. So you want to position your feet right in the middle of those two extremes so that when you come up to the top, you're feeling the work in those glutes. Keep moving through it. We got 8 seconds left. Nice work. Last one here. Good. Now we're going to roll on to our side. We're going to move into the clamshell movement. So for this one, you're going to use your bottom hand just as a pillow for your neck here. Your knees will be out in front of you, but you want everything stacked. You want your hips, knees, feet stacked. And from there, I'm just going to lift my knee and come back down. So this is called the clamshell exercise. And again, we're working the muscle on the outside of the hip. That's where we want to feel most of the work. It's called your glute med. Really important part of the glute complex. It really supports you in a lot of movements, but particularly when you're standing on a single leg, like when you're walking or running or hiking. We want to make sure this muscle's strong enough. And honestly, we don't do a lot of these side-to-side movements throughout your day, which is why it's important we target it in our strength training routine. We've got about 15 seconds left on this side. And again, if this is feeling too easy, which again, I'm already feeling a burn here. I'm getting a nice workout. But if you want to challenge yourself, you can just put it like a 12-inch mini band around your knees. That adds a little bit of resistance to make it a little bit harder. All right, let's go ahead and roll over to the other side. Again, I'm going to switch so I'm still facing you guys. But same thing, you can use your arm as a little pillow. Knees out in front, everything stacked. And we're lifting that leg. Nice work. The only really thing to watch out for with this exercise is that you're not opening so wide that you start to twist off the ground and you get that rotation in the back. Remember, we're trying to limit the amount of impact that goes through there, so we want to make sure we're paying attention to our form throughout this. And pay attention to what your body's saying. So I can already feel that my left side is a little bit weaker than my right side. We're only, 40 seconds in, and I can feel this is working a lot harder. And that makes sense because I've ruptured my Achilles on this leg and have been dealing with some imbalances since then. That's why these single side exercises are good to incorporate to improve balance side to side. All right, nice work. Next, we're going to move into the side plank exercise. So we're still on our side here. I'm going to start with the knee variation just because it's the safest. So anytime we're working around pain, we want to make sure that we're keeping everything safe. So instead of moving straight to the toe variation, let's start on the knees. We're going to put our elbow directly under our shoulder. Our knees will be slightly in front of us. We're going to press up, and we're just going to do a hold here. We're going to try to hold it for 45 seconds. If you have to rest, it's okay. Just come back down, take a little break, and get back up as soon as you can. And what you'll notice, the more you do this exercise, you'll be able to hold it longer. Instead of 10 seconds, next round you may be holding it 15. And that's how you work your way up. That's how you improve. But so this is strengthening our core, particularly in the side here. Really important spinal stabilizers that protect your low back. If you're having some shoulder issues, maybe just move to the front plank. That's the only problem with the side plank for anyone that's having some shoulder pain. It can be a little tough on the shoulders. All right, I'll drop the hips down and switch to the other side. So again, I'll have my elbow directly under my shoulder, my knees stacked, come in to lift my hips up off the ground. In this top position, I want my body in a nice straight line, and I don't want to be rounded over my shoulder like this too. So make sure your shoulders are stacked, and we're holding. Same thing as a clamshell. Pay attention. Is one side stronger than the other? Really important to listen to what your body's telling us, not because you need to know, but it's the more that you know about your body, the more you know what you need to focus on. Again, everybody's a little bit different in terms of where their strengths and weaknesses are. The more you know, the better you can address it. Nice work. We got 5 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'll go ahead and meet you in standing. So we're ready to move into the standing portion of our workout. Just make sure what you have available, you have some sort of weight, something that you can hold right in front of you, your box or your chair that you're going to use, and then something that you can step up on here. So we're going to start with a weighted carry variation called the weighted march. So all I'm going to do is take my weight, whatever you have, dumbbell, kettlebell, jug of water. It's okay if you don't have anything, but eventually, to build strength, we will need some resistance. And from there, we're just going to march in place. So again, slow and controlled. I like to hold it for a second or two at the top. So this is a really important, for an exercise that seems as simple as it is, this is actually a really important movement. It does a couple things. One, it's a functional core strengthening exercise. So these weighted carries get your core engaged in a way that protects your spine as you move throughout your day. But the other thing, and you may notice this as you're trying to do it, is it's a great balance exercise. So adding that second hold at the top there, you really got to make sure your balance is on point. And what you'll find is a lot of people who are dealing with lower back arthritis might also have some balance issues. And if that's the case, we really, really want to work on the balance. And this is a great, fun exercise. Well, I think it's fun. That's open to interpretation. Nice work. Keep it moving. We got 1 more on each side. Oops, see, you got to stay focused or you'll lose your balance. Last one here. Hold it, and we'll set it down. All right, next, we're going to move into our box squat. So we want to start learning how to do a squat, one of the best ways to improve mobility and build strength of your lower body. This is a safe variation that we can start with. So what we're going to do is stand in front of our box, and we're going to send our hips back and then drop them to the box, and back up. So a few different variations here, just depending on your strength level. If this is a difficult place to start, I would suggest just sitting all the way down. And then from the seated position, you can press back up. So just to see that again, I'm sitting all the way down, pressing through the legs to stand up. If you feel strong and confident doing that, then you can just do the actual box squat, which is just going to be a tap. So I'm sending my hips back, and I'm just tapping my hips on the box. Tapping, and back up. Tapping, and back up. So a couple things you might be feeling. If you're feeling any sort of back pain or back tension while you do it, just make sure that when you reach your hips back, you're not flaring your rib cage out and rocking that pelvis forward. That creates a lot of extension in the mid-back that can contribute to some pain. All right, last one here. Good. Next, we're going to move into the hip hinge movement. So the hip hinge, probably one of the most important movements to get down, not only in the strength training world, but just as you move throughout your day. It's going to teach you how to bend forward while keeping a neutral spine, so we don't repetitively load that lower back, which again is what causes this osteoarthritis. So the hip hinge, we start with our knees about hip width apart. We have loose knees, so they're just not locked out. And from there, I'm going to start by reaching my hips towards that back wall. And so again, I want to make sure my spine stays in a nice neutral position. I stop when I feel tension in the hamstrings. So let's go ahead and try that again. I'm reaching my hips back, keeping my spine nice and straight so I'm not rounding forward, and stopping when I feel tension in the hamstrings. I don't want to go too low, because that's where I start to round my back. So again, this isn't necessarily a physically demanding variation of the hip hinge. We'll add more of those as we progress into later workouts. But it's really important we build the foundation with this movement, not only for your strength training routine, but again, just to learn how to keep that neutral spine, because that's such an important term to understand and know how to keep as you move throughout your day, so that if I'm reaching forward, doing something at the counter, or reaching down into the dishwasher, picking something up off the ground, I can keep a nice safe position for my spine. All right, last one here. Send the hips back and back up. Okay, next we're moving into our step-ups. It's just going to be, this is where we're going to use our steps, and it's just going to be as the name suggests. We're going to do single leg step-ups. We're going to start by pressing one foot up and slowly lowering back down. So again, a few different variations, just depending on how strong you're feeling. But first one is, when you come down, just reset. So again, I'm back in the starting position. I'm pressing up off this top leg. And when I come back down, I can just lower all the way back down. If you want to challenge yourself, you can just do a simple tap of the leg. And lastly, if this is feeling too easy for you, or you want to challenge yourself a bit more, just grab 2 dumbbells and you do a weighted step up. But what we're focusing on is building strength in the single leg. It targets really your entire leg, but a lot of glute and hamstring, which is, as you'll find out as we move through these workouts, one of the areas that we really want to target, building strong glutes and strong hamstrings. That sets the foundation for your spinal positioning to limit impact that goes through your spine. Okay, let's go ahead and switch sides. Same thing on the other side. So just pick the variation that feels best for you. Just make sure that you use the same variation side to side, even if you feel stronger on one side. Like for me, that left side's a little bit weaker. So it might feel a little bit easier on my right side, but I don't want to just do the harder variation on the strong side, because then you just further that imbalance. And what we're trying to do is create that balance side to side. Nice work. Heart rate should be going, getting a little bit of a sweat. And depending on your ability level, these might seem a little bit easier or straightforward, but remember, when we're dealing around building strength with joint pain and arthritis, the number one thing we want to focus on is safety. It's not how fast you can go, it's not how heavy you could lift, it's how well can you perform the movement and control the movement to target the muscles that we want to target and not put stress on your joints. All right, we've got about 10 more seconds here. Once we finish with this round, we're going to move back to the ground and we're going to go through those set of exercises again. All right, last one. We're up and down. Nice work. I'll meet you back down on the ground. All right, so we're moving on to round 2. I'll go ahead and meet you on your back. We're going to start with those glute bridges. So again, my feet are flat on the floor. My arms are just kind of out at 45 on the ground here. I'll start the timer. We're going to press through our feet, lift those hips up, and back down. So as I mentioned in round 1, building strong glutes, one of the best ways to solve lower back pain and lower back arthritis. These are big, strong hip muscles that set the foundation for our spinal positioning. And they're also our prime movers. So just as we do things throughout the day, walking, running, hiking, whatever it is that you like to do, these muscles play a big role. And if they're not strong enough to handle what you're doing, your body's smart and it compensates. And then smaller muscles start doing the work, or that impact starts going through your joints. And that's where you get things like arthritis. The longer that goes on, the more of a problem it becomes. And so that's why it's so important that we build strength in our glutes. All right, moving in to our clamshell. So we're moving on to the side. Again, I can use my arm here as a pillow. Knees out in front of me. And opening up that top leg. And again, just making sure you're not opening up so far that your hips and low back start to twist. If you have tight hips, that's okay. Just stop when you don't get any more movement at the hip here. But again, should be feeling it on the outside of the hip. It's one of those movements. It's not a lot of movement. Seems pretty easy, but it's harder than it looks. I mean, especially round 2, you might be feeling it a little bit more this time. Nice work. We got 15 seconds left on this side. Really try to keep going, but again, slow and controlled. That's the key to this building strength without stressing your joints. Using strength to solve joint pain rather than aggravate joint pain. All right, good. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. You can just roll over. All right. So using your arm as a pillow again, we're moving on to the left side. Good. This is the Jane Fonda move. I don't know if you know her back in the 80s. She was on something. There's those 80s infomercials that always look so funny nowadays, but man, this is an effective exercise. And again, this glute med, probably one of the more important muscles, not only in back pain, but knee pain as well. If you have weakness in that glute med, anytime you stand on the single leg, your knee might cave in a little bit. You might not even notice it, but again, it's one of those small impacts that occurs at the knee, when compounded over time, leads to knee pain and leads to arthritis. And that's actually a good point, is that a lot of these exercises that we're doing, I mean, we're targeting lower back arthritis in this workout, but what you'll find is a lot of the knee exercises are going to be the same as a lot of the exercises that we're doing for the low back. So you're killing two birds with one stone, but it's also why you see a lot of people that have back pain also have knee pain. Okay, nice work. We're going to move into our side planks. So we're just positioning that elbow right under the shoulder, staying on our knees and lifting those hips up. Again, in the top position, our body should be in a straight line, so I shouldn't be bent at the hips here. And my shoulder should be stacked. I shouldn't be rounding forward here. We're going to feel it on the bottom side of our abs, our obliques. Again, just important spinal stabilizers. If you've ever heard a PhD researcher named Stuart McGill, he's probably the expert in low back pain, probably knows more than anybody. But he has the big 3 exercises that anyone with lower back pain should do. The side plank is one of them. That's how important it is. And just remember, if you can't hold it for the full 45 seconds, it's okay to come down and then just come up when you're ready. All right, 45. Let's go ahead and switch sides. Elbow under the shoulder, come up onto the knees. Body in a straight line, elbows stacked, and we're holding. Might be feeling a little bit more difficult on the second round, which is good. Again, this is kind of the balance of building strength to solve joint pain. It's like we want it to be challenging, but we don't want it to overdo it and do something where we aggravate it. And so it's kind of finding that nice balance. Got 10 seconds left. Three, 2, and 1. All right, that's it for our floor exercises. I'll go ahead and meet you in the standing position. All right, so for our standing exercises, remember we want a weight, a box, and a step up. Once you have those, we can go ahead and get started with the weighted carries. So, whatever weight you have, you want to hold it directly in front of your chest. March onto that one leg. Hold for a second or 2 at the top. Paying attention to, again, one side feel harder than the other. Like I mentioned before, my left leg's a little bit weaker. I just felt getting into that balance, I feel my left ankle roll a little bit more just to stabilize me. Not good or bad, it's just a good thing to know, so you know what to work on. Nice work. Again, if you don't have a weight, that's okay. You can just do the march for now, but adding the weight component is what engages your core. And that's a big part of this exercise. Any sort of weighted carry, they're called functional core exercises. So it strengthens your core in a way that engages your muscles as you move throughout your day. So not like a sit-up or a plank in positions that you don't move throughout your day, but a real world activity. All right, nice work. We can go ahead and set our weight down. We'll move on to our box squats. So we're taking our chair. And again, the 2 levels, if you want to start and sit all the way back down, then press through the legs, or maybe you're feeling a little more comfortable round 2. You're just going to do a tap and back up. So a few things that you can play around with as you're learning to squat is starting with your stance. So when I was taught to do the squat back in high school, I remember it was the stance they always said, hip width, toes pointed forward. That was just the ideal stance for everybody. But what they're finding is that everybody's hip anatomy is a little bit different. So everybody's going to have a slightly different ideal squat stance. So you can play around with the width, if you want to go wider or more narrow, and how much toe out you have. And really, I mean, the key determining factor is what feels most comfortable. If you find that a wider stance, usually that's what I find is people start too narrow and they like a little bit wider stance with the toes out a bit, but you could be different. All right, next, moving on to the hip hinge. So again, not a physically demanding exercise, but it's really, really important that we get these repetitions in to teach us how to maintain that neutral spine as we bend forward. Because as we progress these strength exercises, we will be lifting weights off the ground, and we want to be able to do that with a nice strong spine that's not putting any impact through our joints. So just a reminder with the hip hinge, I'm reaching my hips back, keeping a straight spine, stopping when I feel tension in the hamstrings, and coming back up. Again, what you want to watch out for is when you reach those hips back, you don't flare that rib cage out and rock the pelvis forward. That's going to create a little bit of tension in the lower back. Usually you can feel it without any weight. So if that's happening, what you can do is focus on a little bit of a abdominal brace, just a light squeeze as you reach your hips back. That'll lock everything in place, prevent any sort of extra spinal movement, which is what we're hoping to learn to avoid. Last one here. Good. Okay. Last exercise of the day. It's going to be our step-ups. So we'll do our single leg step-up. And again, you're just finding the variation that works for you. You can either come all the way back down. You can do a tap. Or if you want to grab some weights, you can do that variation as well. No right or wrong. Again, it's finding your starting point. That's sometimes the hardest part of putting these general exercise plans together. Everybody starts at a slightly different level. So I try to provide some variation to meet you where you're at, because the last thing you want to do is start with something that's too difficult. As your body fatigues, you start to lose your form, more impact through the spine, more problems. That's what we're trying to avoid. So again, it's okay to find your starting level and work your way up. Got 10 more seconds on this leg. Again, it's slow and controlled. We don't need to be moving fast. Last one here. We're moving to the right. All right. This is the last minute. You got it. You've been doing good so far. If you're with me this far, you can do this last minute. And you can tell, again, these are just simple, low impact, safe movements. I'm somebody that works out and exercises almost every day. And even I'm getting a little bit of a sweat going here. So you can use these simple and safe movements and still make them challenging, which is what we're going for. Halfway there. With all these movements, again, when you're building strength to solve pain, remember that the focus is on safety. Safety is the number one thing. Not how fast, not how heavy, but can you complete the movement for a minute in good form? Can you control that movement? Last one here. And we're done. So nice work. I'll go ahead and meet you on the floor and we'll close things out. Nice work in completing your 20-minute workout for lower back arthritis. So just as a reminder, the goal of this workout is to build strength and improve movement to limit impact or wear and tear that goes through your lower back to not only help you get rid of pain associated with arthritis, but to solve it and help you be able to keep active and maintain your lifestyle as you get older without this arthritis getting worse. So another thing to keep in mind, as we're building strength, we have to be able to progress. So this is our level 1 exercise. What I would recommend is that you do this routine maybe 3 or 4 times a week until you feel 100% confident in each movement. And then I'll have uploaded the second level. And you should try moving to the second level, because if you've been doing it consistently, you should be getting stronger. These exercises might be too easy. We want to make sure that we can keep challenging you in a nice and safe way so that you can really build the strength to protect your lower back. That's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, it's Dr. Carl Baird here, and I wanted to thank you for watching our previous video and supporting our channel. Now, if you're somebody who's looking to build strength to solve joint pain, keep active, and maintain your lifestyle as you get older, be sure to subscribe to our channel to watch all of our new videos. You won't find it anywhere else.